Yeah,
Right,
yeah, I think so.
absolutely go for it. I mean, I'll give you some time to let people know who you are, I guess.
Okay. So I have to introduce myself. Well, that's a tricky one. Who am I? Well, I'm Hungarian born. Uh, you can call it a, well, I would characterize myself before as full-time coach, part-time athlete, but now things changed a little bit, and let's say almost full-time athlete and part-time coach. So living in Spain, Mallorca now for, well, it's been back and forth for 2 years, but it's been very consistent for the last year. I've been here with my girlfriend Gabby. We're training here. We have an amazing box, an awesome team, and our coaches here, our training partners are here. John Singleton, we're working with the program, and it just has been a blast. Great training conditions, and yeah, I got the mountains, got the sea, got a giant gym, C23, and living the life. Yeah, it's
Living the life, yeah.
it is basically, I
When did you
guess.
get into coaching?
Coaching, yeah, that's interesting because so my parents are both PE teachers, and well, they didn't. Besides school, they had their own separate businesses, and they didn't really run it the traditional way of hiring employees. They have a, or my parents rather have a climbing call, and my dad organizes ski trips for the local schools and schools around the country during the winter. So we've always been this. There were responsibilities that are fallen us by them. So we got into coaching or supervising similar age kids as us, or a little bit younger, since we were kids. Rather, this has been on snow or in the climbing call, just helping them out. So being around them, we picked up a lot of, well, unconsciously, I guess, a lot of coaching qualities, if you can say that. Me and my sister and my brother, and I always enjoyed my path. Well, the path that I was about to choose is to become a ski instructor. So after high school, I actually, or during high school, that was the goal, to go to Austria and get into an institution for ski instructors, and then sort of chase the winter all year round. But that changed with CrossFit, and then after high school, I studied for a very very short time, and then dropped out of university. And but I was studying to be a PE teacher. That wasn't something that I was too passionate about or too driven after seeing how the university worked, and yeah, and then basically took my level one. I can say to this day, at that moment in time, that was that was the biggest wow thing I've ever done. It was an eye opener being around like-minded people. Obviously, the level one flow masters and all the staff were amazing, and just came away with this boost and adrenaline boost, and was just ready to hop into CrossFit with both feet. And I have been training CrossFit in our backyard and in a local gym and in the climbing hall for 2 years prior to that. But I had a taste for coaching, and there was an opening available at the gym that I was working there. But one of the criteria was that I have to take a level one. And at the time, just a freshman in college, and $1,000 seemed like a lot,
Yeah,
but my parents helped me out, and then we managed to finance it. And well, yeah, it was, yeah, took the level one, and started coaching, and have been coaching since, well, it's now going on 6 years now.
that's awesome. Like it's funny how people like they end up doing the level one and jumping in, and then that environment and the people that they're around, just it gets them hooked, right? And then they just can't turn back after that.
No, 100%. And also, you know, the level 1 as a course is, it should be a spark to ignite a flame for more learning, for more development. But for that is a tremendous weekend, right? But as it is, I wouldn't say it's enough to be a coach or a good coach or a professional in your field. But it's a fantastic weekend that I would encourage everyone who's interested in CrossFit or have been doing CrossFit to take part. And then, you know, there are a trillion other courses that you can take. But yeah.
Even if you didn't want to go down the whole CrossFit route, it still opens up those doors, right? And the connections you end up making, like you said, with those like-minded people, it's just incredible. Like I literally had a lady on maybe 2 weeks ago that I met at my level 1. Like this was 6-7 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, anywhere between there. And it's like we're still in touch, still like bounce ideas off each other. You kind of see each other go in different directions, and then obviously we live in a technology world. We can stay connected and stuff. Like it's it's awesome. Like it really does open up doors for people to go down, and I think it's a really cool course.
I agree with you, and it's like funny things like obviously I have been developing my own coaching style over the years and then taking bits from here and there, but there are still certain things that the way I would teach the power clean, there was still a couple of cues that I take from there and just find, like there are a couple of like practical jokes that get a little boring after a while, but if you have always new people circling through, you can always make them laugh, and it's just small bits and pieces. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the people that take the level 1s and level 2s, like the red shirts, are absolutely awesome. Like the way they end up flowing through the like you said, a flow master, they flow through the class and the weekend. Like just taking points from them and then trying to transfer it back into a class is challenging enough as it is.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it has been I took the level 1, and then I was like, well, I don't want to be just a coach, right? I want to be a flow master. I want to be a seminar staff member for CrossFit, and for a while that has been the goal. And but the goal changed over time, and now competing is the main goal within CrossFit. But who knows? Eventually, down the line, it's tough with family or with a girlfriend, but it's definitely the lifestyle, and it must be an amazing job.
How do you think like competing's kind of like veered you off that path a little bit? Are you going to go down there, like you said?
I don't think so. Things changed a little bit, and we actually have a business now. And in Mallorca, we have a box, and we have another one where we train. And I do some online coaching as well with a couple of high-level athletes that we have, and training myself as well. It's busy schedule.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of your time.
Yeah. It's being an athlete is definitely a 24-hour job, right? Every day of the week. And then most of us have to have, I don't want to say necessarily a side hustle, because I do genuinely enjoy coaching, and online. I do coach in person as well at our books. And I also have online clients, and I thoroughly enjoy both. And I would, even if I would be in a dreamiest financial scenario, I think I would still do it, just because I have the passion for it. But yeah, the red shirt thing is not on the horizon, at least at the moment.
So that's a really interesting point of like how like kind of balancing and juggling the whole athlete side and the coaching side. Like I've seen it a couple of times where, someone will try and do both, and it will end up putting them into the ground. They'll have no energy to do either one, So how do you personally juggle those two balls?
I think there are a couple of things. I think okay, how should I put this? So first of all, in CrossFit over the years, it's just personal experience, but in CrossFit over the years, I've seen more coaches that I can count on my hands that took up coaching just because they wanted that 24/7 gym access so they can be an athlete.
Yep.
Right. So then they didn't necessarily become coaches because they wanted to coach. They want to be an athlete, but how can I make a little bit of money and how can I have constant gym access? Well, I have to be a coach. Right. So this is one of the things. And then the other thing is from a coach's perspective. So here's the two sides of the coin. One, if you want to be an athlete, but you coach to somehow support it, I don't think that's the right way to go about it, because you're going to end up doing I don't want to say a shitty job at both, because obviously there are good athlete coaches out there. But if your sole goal is only to compete and you supplement it with coaching, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. On the other hand, if your passion is to coach, at least at the moment, generally in Europe, mostly in South Europe, the CrossFit coach's salary is, you better off going and clean toilets. And it's not to degrade a cleaning ladies or a sanitary job, but gyms pay so little to the coaches that it's very hard to be a full-time coach, provide quality service, and also get paid. Because most of the time when someone asks you, okay, what do you do? Well, I'm a CrossFit coach. They're like, okay, that sounds like a fun job. Because they don't look at it as a proper 9-to-5 job, right? So my point being here, if you want to be a good coach and you also want to make a decent salary, you cannot coach 6, 7, 8 classes a day, because if you ever coach the class, you will know how much energy that goes in there. You have to be teaching something. You have to entertain the people. You have to pay constant attention on what's happening. You also have to be crowd management at the same time. And then most of the gyms, you also have to make a shake at the end of the class for one of the members, and you have to sign up 2 new people and then, tell them where to buy their CrossFit gear. So I don't necessarily remember what was the original question. So I'm sorry about the long rant, but yeah, being a CrossFit coach today or being an athlete is not necessarily go hand in hand. And I don't think it should go hand in hand unless you have a passion for both and you can make it work. It can be something that you do, but there's Brian Fikowski. He has been, I don't know what he did exactly. He was in, maybe I'm butchering this, accounting or something like that, but he did have a 9-to-5 job, or at least for a while, and also could manage to be an athlete at a very, very high level. So I wouldn't recommend, if you want to compete in the sport of CrossFit, to go down the route of a coach athlete role.
It's definitely hard, isn't it, trying to juggle the two? And I think it's Ben Bergeron that says there's like 3 heads of the dragon, right? There's like your social life and your sanity, so family, all that goes in there, coaching and being an athlete, and you can only feed 2 of them. So like there are those exceptional people that can coach and can train and be competitive within a sport, but then that's it. They have no life, whatever that is. They can't really see their family that much because their time's taken other places. So it's like it definitely is a juggling act. But you touched on something really interesting, and something that I actually speak or I've spoken about very much recently with a lot of coaches, as the whole, I guess, business model for coaching, right? Of how coaches make some money, make a living wage, never mind just like a minimum wage. And because I personally think the whole you get paid per class is wrecked. Like that's not the way to do it, because like you said, you will end up driving yourself into the ground to make ends meet. But that just poses the question of different models, and what models of coaching and like running a gym have you seen worked?
Well, I met with a bunch of box owners throughout the years, and they all have a different take on it. But I would say most of them would agree that opening a CrossFit box doesn't equal robbing the national bank, right? At the end of the day, the CrossFit box will remain a small business. In my personal experience, keeping a box with around 100 members or so, where you know what their names are, you can keep a calendar of their birthdays. Maybe you know the family a little bit, you know what their pet's name, you know, just getting to know them a little bit more. Over 100 members, I think you will start to lose that personal community feeling. So if you look at that, what is the average membership fee, right? In Spain, it would shift around 100 euros. In Europe in general, maybe it could go up to 150, maybe it could go down all the way at 75. It's going to be in that range. So I have to see, okay, in a 100 people gym, I want to also, I'm as an owner, I cannot take all the classes. I have to have employees. I have to feed my own family. I have to keep a business afloat, and I also have to pay coaches. Now, what a good business model is, I don't know per se. I just seen a couple that did not work. And if I would have to come up with my own, I would probably not try to reinvent the wheel, but take away the ones that has been working. I have been working at 1, 2, 3, 4 different CrossFit gyms, and the current one is the best one. And after actually coaching for 6 years, maybe I shouldn't say this on a podcast, but this has been the first time when I was actually employed properly on paper. I have a health insurance paid, and all my papers and everything is legit, right? And I think from an employee perspective, in the CrossFit world, it is very rare to see that. Most of them will become a self-employed person, and they will have to give an invoice to their owner, and then they will get some kind of change at the end of the month, or just work black, and then they have another side hustle. But you cannot build a career on top of that. You cannot put money in the bank. You cannot have a retirement account of that, right? So, and I try to see both sides of the story a little bit. Being an owner, and then not being able to make enough and then to pay your employees properly, and then you have to pay taxes after them and their social security fees and all that kind of stuff. And then you're like, okay, well, I like you, you're doing a good job. I can just give you, $500 at the end of the month. But from a employee perspective, what that shows is, first of all, lack of appreciation, and then the lack of trust. And I think with those, it's very, very hard to stay loyal and do a good job as well.
It's really funny that you mentioned about not being employed. Like, I've coached for 6 years and done 7 different CrossFit boxes now, like mostly in the UK. I've done 5 in the UK and then 2 over here. And I've only been employed in 1 of them out of 7, which is crazy.
How does that feel? That feels amazing, when somebody put their trust into you and makes that commitment.
Yep. You put the pen to paper, and I remember coming over actually, and he handed over my contract, and I was like, "What's this?" I was like, "Oh, it's for you to sign." I was like, "Why? I'm here to coach." You know what I mean? It was completely new, and it's funny. It's an industry built on just like the sheer passion of coaches that they have for the people in front of them, right? Because you wouldn't coach if you didn't love to do it. Like, you get up too early in the morning, you provide too much of energy of yourself, you don't get paid enough. It's pretty hard. You have to like upfront the $1,000 for your level 1. Like, it's you prey on the passion of the coach, which is nothing to shit on anything else. Like, we don't know the side of the business, right? It could be just staying afloat, and they can't provide for that, which is That's
It's
okay.
100%, and that's why every time I'm in a situation when I feel it's unjust towards me, or I do not agree with, I always try my hardest to look at the other side as well. I try to put myself into the other person's shoe and see, okay, with as much as I know of the situation from his or her side, how can I understand my own situation better, right? But it's funny enough that through this whole Glassman and CrossFit change, we came to have a professional, what is it, like fitness athlete association, right? But we do not have a professional CrossFit coaches association or something like that, that looks out for the best interests of a coach. Because I do think these are universal problems. I don't know within the fitness industry or within just CrossFit, and these are mostly my own experiences, but most of the coaches I know that are having a great passion for this for CrossFit, they either went through a long period of time and they all had the trouble with this, and then finally either put their foot down or found a place where all the above has been provided: contract, enough salary, good working hours, possibility to make a living. It is definitely not being spoken about enough, but it is a problem. And it is a very, very, for me to be here and tell young kids, well, if your passion is coaching, go and coach CrossFit and go through the level 1, level 2s, try to better yourself, and you can have a great life from it. I would have a hard time doing that at the moment, to be honest.
Like with the whole fitness industry as a whole, I can't speak for the entire world because obviously I don't know. But within the UK, I remember it was something like 90% of people that get into the fitness industry drop out within the first year. You're just like, well, there's a problem here. You know what I mean? Like every gym you sign up to, they say you're self-employed. Even over here, I worked in a commercial gym for a while, won't say names, won't say anything. Relationships broke down, kind of, and the contract didn't favor me. You know what I mean? It was like, no, you're self-employed. Anything that happens is on you. And then you're out, sort of thing. So there is no safety blanket. There is no, if you get out of college, for example, and you're 16 to 18, how much business experience or knowledge are you going to know realistically? You're going to know fuck all. Like you're still a kid at the end of the day, and you're trying to help people with their health and fitness, and the wider community within the fitness industry is not structured to help you grow. It's just been like, oh, if you make it, congratulations. If not, get out, go get a real job.
It's interesting because one of the that you touched on a little bit is that the hourly salary or being paid per class is one of the most common models I've seen, and the other one is you get a base salary of a couple hundred if euros or dollars or whatever, and then the rest you have to make off of like personal training or whatever. You can have that as cash, or here's the base salary for you, we're going to pay for you, we're going to overwhelm you with classes, but on the side, whatever you can make off of personal training is yours. It's none of those are too great, and I don't think it has been said enough, or nobody really stood up for these, not these, but nobody really spoken about it loudly or out loud. And I can only speak of Europe because this is where I have the experience, maybe very differently in the States or in Australia or in the Middle East. But it is not ideal from an employee perspective. And I don't think I'd like to believe that most employers are CrossFit box owners. They would love it if they could hire someone and keep everything clean, but maybe they aren't able to do that.
It's when you you look at the model and in your eyes it's not ideal. You see the coaches, they're running themselves into the ground, they've got to work on their own business, whether that's online, in person, and elsewhere, whatever, to make ends meet. And then you see that coach, the box owner, open a second facility, and you're just like, whoa, hold on a minute. Like, if you've got the money to open a second fucking box, like, you've got the money to sort out the first one.
This is one thing I would love to see, and I think Jason Khalipa does that with NCFit. I listened to a couple of his talks and I read about his business model a little bit. Is as an employee, and I have zero experience in the corporate world, so I might just make that up. But when you start at the bottom of the food chain, you will see that if I do such and such and such and meet these criterias in X amount of years, I'll be, one step up from where I am today. And with that will come benefits, more salary, maybe a company car, whatever it may be. And then if I'm going to be there and hustle every day and stay there for 3 more years, I can take another step up. And climbing the corporate ladder is not something that is appealing to me, but I think just the fact that there is a career path within could be implied to being a CrossFit coach. When you enter a gym and you start your journey as an intern, an unpaid CrossFit coach, maybe you don't even have your level 1. What are the steps I have to take to, in 1 year, I have my level 1 and maybe a little, change in my pockets. And then if I work 2 more years at the box and I do everything and I try to better myself, how can I get to my level 2? If you start at a CrossFit gym and your base salary is, let's say, 10 euros for 1 hour, what's going to be the criteria for you to earn now 12 euros or 15 euros an hour? How can I get eventually to 20 if the model is going to be this hourly or class rate? Because I do have my level 1, and maybe I do have 3 or 5 or whatever years of experience. But what is going to qualify me to earn more, to have more responsibilities? I think very, very few CrossFit businesses or boxes have the answers to that. And as a young coach, you need something to look forward to, right? You don't want to do the same for 20 years and earn the same no matter what. In an ideal world, you want to earn more, do more, and most importantly, better yourself and learn more. And how can I be a better coach that also earns a little bit more money? And how can I make this my own career, right? I don't want to look for another job at a whatever, I don't want to learn how to roll dough or make a pizza or whatever as a side hustle, or deliver pizza for Domino's or something like that. You do want to be a coach, so how can I make a career off of this?
I think I listened to, I think it was Austin's podcast, The Soapbox, Austin Maliolo. And it was basically it was exactly what you've just been saying about career progression and development of a young coach, right? And if you get more qualifications, you end up earning more money per hour or more money per class, or your salary ends up going up. And then once you reach a certain point, I think it was 3 years, but you needed your level 2. You got an option for either offering like a different class to the gym. So like, your specialty is strongman, for example, you might offer a strongman class. So then you would program it, so you would earn more money from that. You would run it, so you'd earn more money from that. And then like you would, I think he said like you would own part of that business in that sort of sense. So you would own like 60%, 80% of that. So whatever revenue people would come in for that class, you would end up earning on top of it. And then if you wanted to progress again, like you would sell part of the business, or like be like, okay, how can we help you move on? If you wanted to do that, of course, not kicking you out. But if you wanted to move on and start your own gym, how can we help you do that? Here's some like part of the business to then go do that. And I think that's the way to do it. Like there has to be steps to go up, like not precisely like climbing a corporate ladder, because there's a reason why we're not in a 9 to 5. Like, it'd probably put us 6 feet under. But there has to be some sort of, okay, I'm here right now. I'm 18. I'm fresh into the business. But I know if I bust my ass and get X, Y, and Z under my belt and still get an experience, I can go 2 steps forward. Okay, if I go through there, what other paths can I go down? Oh, I can go down this path, this path, this path. I definitely think there should be more for coaches. Like, some gyms are doing exceptionally well with it. Like, I've heard that I think it was the first CrossFit gym here in New Zealand. They do like a progression thing. Obviously, I've got no experience in that. I just know a coach who's been through their system, and he absolutely swears by it and says it's awesome. But I hear it on the grapevine, and I've never actually seen it. So it'd be cool to see it a little bit more widespread. And yeah, having a coaches association with the new CrossFit changes would be cool.
And I think that's fantastic what you say. And I didn't mean to bash on anyone and generalize anything. There are, as you said, greatly ranked CrossFit boxes, but there are also, unfortunately, a majority where, as a coach, just from speaking from that perspective, it is very hard to plan ahead or make a living off of it. And this is one thing that we are trying to do here. We are a fresh box that we opened here on Mallorca, but we do have a clear path for coaches. If somebody knocks on the door, we will take their resume into consideration, and then we may not enroll them through our internship, but we have a good place set up for someone to come in, be developed by us and supported by us, and then also have those steps where you can look forward that maybe I do not need to look for another job. Maybe this is something that I can do for the rest of my day. So it is definitely interesting, and maybe because I'm not as much of a part of that international coaching circuit anymore, and most of my info is not coming through of the coaching aspect of CrossFit, but rather the athlete perspective. I may be outdated on most of the information, but this has been the majority of my experience, at least as a CrossFit coach.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's gonna take it as like you're bashing any gym. Like, I think everything starts with a conversation, and you need to like feel out where the boundaries are of the box that we're in, and then eventually start pushing it in all directions. And like, it's the whole process and reason why I started, this podcast, I guess, is like just have conversations and learn new things and like see or hear other people's perspectives. And then you can start going, okay, there's actually like a pothole here in the system. The athletes aren't getting what they need. Okay, cool. How do we do that? The coaches aren't getting what they need. How do we do that? And I do think in the next 10 years, I know like CrossFit is already blown up and it's pretty much on every street corner, but I think in the next 10 years, it will go absolutely massive. And I think the new changes, well, yeah, hopefully it'll be good for us, right? I think the new changes are really going to see it through. I think as a perspective of like sitting back and kind of observing of the past year, like not really had like much to do. Well, I've had much to do with CrossFit. I'm within it, but sit back and observing what's gone on. The athlete side draws attention, right? It's cool. Like the Olympics, for example, it's cool to watch. Like every 4 years, it doesn't matter if you're a sport person or not, everyone will watch the Olympics. So it's like every year, it doesn't matter if you do CrossFit or not, everyone wants to see the games. So the athlete side is really cool. It's entertainment as well as physical performance, right? So that's what captures eyes. And then it's free marketing at the end of the day. And then that is what will end up driving through the methodology, the GPP, the health system, and then going through that way. But we still need to break the barrier of like Western medicine, which is a whole different topic that would make me put my head through a wall. But you know what I mean?
I'm not the most qualified to talk on that, or as a matter of fact. But uh, yeah, yeah, I agree with you. It's interesting. We'll see how the new changes pan out.
Mm.
Yeah, it looks promising, or it did look even more promising when things happen. I want to give the benefit of the doubt and the trust that they do need some time to work things out for
Oh yeah.
sure. But one thing from an athlete perspective, that the more communication that was promised that coming our way is not flowing as smoothly as we hoped so, at least until now. So hopefully that's gonna speed up a little bit in the near future. We'll see.
Mm. Mm. So that's really interesting. I can't, the whole athlete side. That's something that's big in your wheelhouse. So like, what major competitions, like you mentioned about China, before we ended up smacking the record button, and like what major competitions or competitions anyway have you like jumped into and had to play around with?
In general, I like to compete. Uh, Everyone has a different take on things, but I do think uh, at the end of the day, experience is experience. Win or lose, you need that from an athlete. I guess it's almost universal to almost everything, but in CrossFit especially, you do need to compete to acquire certain skills that are impossible to acquire in a CrossFit box or in a controlled training environment. So my advice is always to a young athlete: go to your local comps, go to your own gym's throwdown, and then slowly, a step further, step further, step further. Try to compete within the country, outside of the country, maybe eventually globally, right? So there were some comps that were maybe a little too last minute for me as well. But at the end of the day, last, like in 2019, I did the China Iceland. We're 1 week apart with I don't know what was the time difference either, but I just landed back home with the plane, and then I got the invite through a friend to Iceland. So I literally just put a fresh set of clothes into the suitcase, and then the next morning I was on a flight to Iceland. So that is not something I would necessarily advise to someone, but hey, I had an amazing time in Iceland and in China as well. So and I did learn valuable lessons on both comps. So I just recommend anyone to compete. Start small and then take those steps as you grow as an athlete. Try to qualify to bigger and bigger comps and take part in them. There's
What was competing in Iceland like? Because like that competition looks like an absolute spectacle. Like they go full blown, all out.
It was amazing. I've never been to Iceland. The country is beautiful. It is a spectacle just to be there, just to see, just to be a tourist there. Obviously, I did not have much time to be a tourist there, but just the first day we did run up a hill or a mountain rather, and then we had this snatch ladder in the evening in a packed arena with passionate screaming fans. It was almost like it was like a dark arena, lights on you, loud music. Iceland was amazing. It was a very, very well ran comp, high level athletes. They did a fantastic job.
Absolutely mental over there, aren't they? They all just go for it and really lap it up. Like I managed to get the opportunity to go over to Iceland when I was about 18, I think. And just for like 5 days. Really, really cool opportunity, really cool country, and really cool people, like really friendly, you know what I mean? But as of all Scandinavia and Europe, to be honest, everyone's friendly. Everyone's just like, yeah, crack on, do what you want to do. But the competition looks absolutely mental.
It was, yeah. And I'm very glad to hear that they're gonna be getting one of the regionals or sanctionals or whatever you want to call it, for this year. So that's pretty cool.
Oh wow, I've not actually heard anything.
This is it's not official, I think, but the two throwdowns that we hear more and more about is Lowlands Throwdown and Iceland being the two qualifying events within Europe.
Oh wow, where's the Lowlands?
Netherlands.
Oh nice. It was we had was it
cool.
Central Europe that was in Germany, or what was the other one? There was one in Germany, wasn't there?
Yeah, one of them was in Germany, in Berlin.
In Berlin,
2018. Yeah.
So how big is CrossFit in Hungary?
In Hungary, it's growing, man. It's been a while. How should I say this? I've been living abroad for a long time now, here and there, and I feel a little bit sadly removed from the. I don't have the firmest touch on the pulse of the Hungarian CrossFit scene, but trying to pay attention and then be obviously with COVID restrictions, it's hard to travel. So trying to be as big of a part of it as possible and support my home country. But it's necessarily growing and slowly, little by little. So yeah, it's not too bad.
I got a lot of love and respect for that side of Europe, man. Like I spent a little bit of time in Slovakia too. So obviously just a little bit south. And it's awesome, mate. It's stunning place of the world. It seems like everyone's involved in some sort of health activity. Everyone's outside doing stuff. It's really nice to see people just randomly like climb a huge hill just to have a barbecue like you do back in the UK. People would just go outside to have a barbecue, you know what I mean? Never mind climb a huge hill or go for a run on a Sunday morning. So it's a really cool part of Europe and the world. I love spending time there, man.
Yeah, you should definitely come visit. It's Hungary. Budapest is a beautiful place, and yeah, good food, good people. So
good food, European food, mate. That's probably I tell a lie, probably European beer is what I miss the most. Especially when it's like 80 cents.
But I heard of yeah. You can't beat the price. But I heard the food is pretty great in New Zealand as well, no?
Yeah, mate. Like I think the
coffee as well.
The coffee is next level. They are good at making coffee. I'll give them that. But the biggest difference, especially back in the UK, so everything's a lot of it is farm factoried and fed on food pellets and stuff. And over here, everything is grass fed. Everything. They don't
just to try the food and the coffee would be worth it to go now.
Yeah.
To New Zealand, yeah.
But there's like 5 million people here, man. So there's, you've just got grass galore. There's no one here.
That's amazing. That's really, really amazing,
mate. You're always welcome if you want to take a holiday, or if you just want to come train, like mate, get on a plane.
Thank you. Well, we'll see if any comps are happening and travel bans are being lifted. We'll definitely make a trip down there. 100%. 100%.
I really appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you so much. And we talk a little bit more about coaching and competitive CrossFit. So,
hey,
but look, I'm very happy to have the opportunity, and I hope if someone listened to it and has coaching aspirations or helps that person, or somebody who's a coach at the moment and struggles with the problems that we've been speaking about. I don't know what the right answer is to, but if anyone wants to, reach out or something, if I can help, I'm more than happy to.
100%. It's all about that discussion, right? And just working it out and asking those questions. Be the revolutionary, as I might say too many times. Don't don't push the line too much, but you need to figure out where that line is and try and help the next person and the next person and so forward, so we can all grow, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're in a sport that's like what, 15 years old. Like it's still a baby. Like
Exactly.
we're still figuring stuff out.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Um,
true. But thank you so much for having me. It's been a
Thank you,
blast,
sir.
and thank you for waking up. I hope you go back to bed, sleep a couple more hours.
I've got some more work to do anyway, so I'm up for the day now.
Oh man, hustle life.
Yeah, you got to, mate. Like I made the opportunity. I took the opportunity to travel 13 hours ahead of everything else, you know. So I made my bed, so I got to sleep in it. It's fine.
All right, I respect that.
All
But
right, man.
thank you so much for having me. It's really
Thank
been
you,
a
sir.
blast. Thank you so much, and have a
Legend.
good one.
Take it
Bye,
easy,
bye,
man.
Bye.